What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And I am back after a nice extended break so we can discuss the upcoming BTC action. A lot of you guys have been saying, where the heck has he been? And I'll get into that later. But we need to talk about Bitcoin because I think a significant move is about to happen. Now, before I get started, you definitely need to understand that this is not financial advice. Anything I say in this video, if you're the type that thinks you can just watch random YouTubers and invest $5 and get rich, well, joke's on you. All right? You're not going to get rich by watching YouTube videos, but for those of you who know me, well, hang out. We're going to go through some very good information here. So here we are on the Bitcoin chart, the one-day chart, where it kind of looks like just side banding has been going on. We dipped down, we came back up, and we're bouncing around this descending green line, which has dictated the action ever since this peak back here at 108,000 back in December of 2024. Now we're clinging to the line here, and I think we're going to fall off. And based on some events that are going to happen within a couple of days, I think that we're going to be looking at some downside action, high probability of it. We've got some places I think we could land. First is this red line. Then we have this blue line. Then there's this black line. And last but not least, there's that descending blue line right there. Okay, so what in the world is going on? It's been so boring here lately. We've had nothing but side banding. It's been nothing but, like watching ice freeze. We had this period here where we just side banded. Nothing spectacular, nothing to write home about. This whole long stretch. There we go. I wanted a rectangle. And we had another stretch of side banding right here where we're just not getting away from that green line. But I think that we're going to break away from the green line, and there is going to be one more correction. And then I think we probably will pivot and enter a bullish trending swing channel, a trading channel. Now, what makes me think that we are bearish? Well, it's not so much as the indicators here because this is mixed. Looking at the one-day chart, okay, we are entering the oversold zone almost. And that usually would indicate, okay, it's going to move up. But sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. But there is a bearish indicator or two downstairs on the MACD. Number one, we have a crossover happening of the slow line and the fast line on the MACD. Number two, we've been printing light green bars on the histogram, which says that we're approaching the zero line. If we start printing red, it's going to confirm that, yeah, continuance of the bearish direction. So let's look at what the other charts are telling us. Let's jump back here to the 4 hour. Not much happening here, just moving along the green line, and the stochastic is moving up, a big steep move up. But what does price do up there? Who can tell me what the lesson is that I always teach you to know what the trend is? Well, if you said, look at the price that is returned from the stochastic peaks, you're correct. At this peak, we had that price around this node right here. And then we had a set of declining peaks with fake outs, right? Then this really low peak. Well, price wasn't really going down too much. Is at the low point, this double low here. Price only went down just a little bit, not too much, from 87,000 down to roughly 83. No big deal. So then here we go. Stochastic is coming up again, rising. And what is price doing? Nothing. It's just kind of hanging out on the green line. So that tells me that we're not pushing up right now on the 4 hour. Well, let's look at the 1 hour. So in the 1 hour chart, drilling down into the micro, this one looks bearish. We've got a definite direction on the stochastic right here. Both of the indicators, the blue and the orange, are headed downwards, and you can see that the blue is really breaking away from the orange. When that happens, that confirms negative momentum. And then looking at the MACD downstairs, it looks like it can't decide. The blue was about to cross over the orange, and then it flattened out a little bit, but we also have light green on the histogram approaching the zero line. So that's kind of bearish. Now we can see on the volume nodes up above on all of these charts where the popular buying points are. So right here, just kind of looking back all the way to the maybe a week ago, the beginning of last week, you got this big node point of control at 84,000 and we're below that. Now let's jump to the 4 hour. So there's your big node there, somewhere around 83, 84, and then volume kind of dies off underneath here. And whenever you get into these areas where volume dies off, I call that the slip zone. So if we fall off of this green line, we could very quickly slip down in price and start to look for these targets that I talked about. It could be the red line, the blue line, the black line. All right, so let's talk about all three of those things and jump back to the one-day chart, and then I'll tell you why I think that we're probably going to be getting an answer within the next couple of days. So here we are back on the one-day chart, and you can see some things here. You can see that there's a big volume node right there at 88. Then we stick out again. This is good volume all the way down here, 84, 83. But then if we fall off of this is a smaller node, and then look at the volume. It really starts to drop down. And then we get into a couple of the nodes that are even smaller yet. These two right here. So I'm going to call this a slip zone. That's the first one. And then once we get off of this node at, 76? It kind of goes down again, and we could have another little slip zone there. But let's scrunch this down so we can see all the way down to that black line. So the black line is at 70. And I kind of think that there's a good chance that we fill what is called the CME gap. And that CME gap tends to be between these, it's between 70 and 73. There's a good chance that we fall down there. And here's the reason why. Number one, you got this last node sticking out up above right there. See that big node? And then we slip off. And then there's a big node underneath. That's actually at like 69,000. So it wouldn't scare me, because I would imagine we would see a lot of support at this node right here. And we could have a drop and a bounce once we fulfill that CME gap. So why do I think we're going to see something in the next couple of days? Well, it's because of the announcement from President Trump about the tariffs. Okay? So we have a trade deficit with several other countries, and there's a list of countries that has taken advantage of us. A trade deficit means they buy very little of our stuff and we buy tons of their stuff. So as a result, the money goes out of our country and into their hands. And they get rich from selling their stuff to us, but not buying any of our products. A lot of times, those countries will put a big fat tariff and say, well, for us to buy U.S. stuff, we're putting 100% tariff on your stuff. And meanwhile, we don't have any tariff on theirs. So there's going to be an announcement that the president is going to be making about the Dirty 15. Those are the countries that have the most lopsided advantages against the United States with the trade deal. The Dirty 15 includes countries like China, Mexico. Who else? We've got all of the nations in the EU. So you can look up Dirty 15 and you can see the whole list of the countries that are there. Canada's on the Dirty 15 too. So what's going to happen is there's an announcement coming on April the 2nd. And President Trump is going to announce tariffs against those countries in the Dirty 15. And he's going to make a statement that if you don't get your act together and drop the tariffs, we're going to go ahead right now and we're going to slap a 25% tariff on non-U.S. made aftermarket automotive parts. That's one thing mentioned. There's going to be another one on vehicles. That might be 50%. He's going to put a lot of big stiff tariffs on all the stuff that we're buying that is heavily in favor of the Dirty 15 and not the United States. So that's the news that we need, because, you know, the chart is saying, yeah, we're probably going to drop it. You have to have a nice, juicy news story to make it happen quick. So I always say, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. So we're going to pick a news story to go with this action right here. And then I'm thinking that the news story is going to be the tariffs. So I'm kind of waiting. I want to see a big dip where I'm going to go bananas on the alts, start to buy like crazy. So in alt news, I've been sharing a lot of swing trade information with the people in the private group. And that's why you haven't seen me for a while. I've been very busy taking care of my mother, my businesses, and spending the majority of my free time serving my customers, the members of my esteemed private group. So every day, all through the day and late into the night, I'm posting TA, talking about what's happening, current events, giving picks. We got a lot of swing traders in there. There's one that goes bananas. You know who you are. I won't name any names, but I'll make a suggestion, and he's dropping bands. I mean, going crazy, but it's all good because he's making money. He's getting in, he's getting out. So we have a good time in the private group. You can join the private group if you want. It's 50 USDT per month for silver, 100 per month for gold. Hit the link. But before you join, you got to talk to me first. I really discourage those of you who cannot afford to keep up with your bills. Don't do this and don't risk the money. You need to get yourself financially straight. If you've got $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 sitting around in savings to invest into this market, you're probably going to enjoy my private group because you'll be able to make lots of big fat gains swing trading if you've got that kind of level, that we're looking for there. So like I said, if you can't barely pay your bills, don't do it. And write me first. Don't go joining and paying until I talk to you and decide whether or not this is a good fit, because for most people, it's not going to be a good fit. But if you don't want to miss all these juicy swing trades where we've been talking about stuff like Proton, XPR, we talked about micro. I was the first one to tell the group about Layer AI. That is a big one we discuss a lot of. We talk about AI 16Z, AI XBT. We've been talking about Turbo, Grok, Duco, Win. Dorky is a new one that is on the list. Of course, we're going to talk about Swift and XCN, where the person, if you go back to that video, I always tell people never buy into a run. You never buy when things are going straight up and the stochastic is in the peak, but people are hard-headed and they don't like to listen. And if you go back to my second XCN video that I did, you'll see the fella who famously said, XCN will never ever go back below 2 cents again. Yeah. Yeah, he said that. And so after that, of course, now we're below 1 cent. But, maybe he'll learn. Maybe he'll learn his lesson. We have been talking about B3. We even talk about Toshi a lot. We're waiting for a significant move. Is it up because of this crossover? Or is it down? I don't know. But we're discussing that in the private group. So that's about all I've got for now. What video do you want me to do next? You want me to cover alts, Ethereum, Toshi, some of the memes? Maybe it's Caspa. Cast your vote in the comments below, and maybe you'll be the lucky one that gets to choose the topic of the next video. So you better like, subscribe, tick the notification bell so you don't miss the video when it is ready to be served to you. And like I said, if you want to inquire about the private group, you may do so. Hit the link and send me an email. So that is basically all I've got for now. This is Carlton, and I am out.